to select an area, an issue in their community to research, and use that to demonstrate their knowledge and their writing capabilities. Or consider the value of having chemistry students not just work in the lab, but in the field, and assess the local water quality. I was blessed to work in a school district, Humble ISD, for 17 years that really valued service learning. They sought opportunities to make that connection between the curriculum and the community. One of our local middle schools, and the principal's here today, created a very rich environment, one that nurtured that serving culture. So students felt empowered when they learned that World War I was the only war that didn't have a national monument on the mall in DC to honor its veterans. Students took action and they studied the stages of war and influenza and poetry from the era. They researched the genealogy of their own families to figure out if they had relatives who had served. Docents, they had connected with David DeYoung, an amazing photographer who had portraits of the last 13 veterans at the time who were still living from World War I. And student docents learned their stories. They put together an amazing community-wide event to share their knowledge and share the stories that they had learned. They really brought history alive for our whole community. The last living veteran at the time was Frank Buckles, and this is a picture of Katie and Seth and Hannah with their little flat Stanleys. We actually sat on his porch in West Virginia. It's the most humbling moment of my life to be in such great presence. Companies have developed corporate social responsibility programs wherein they use their core competencies to really make an impact on their local and global communities. Our schools need to do more of the same. There's opportunities, both big and small, for students to apply their skills and really have a positive impact. When we make those connections explicit for students, those connections to learning, we not only hold them responsible for learning, but we also give them the ability to respond and be real-world problem solvers. To bring learning to life and bring life to learning. Schooling should provide students with an opportunity to increase their capacity to learn. Several years ago, my dad had open heart surgery, and I recall afterwards that he had to blow into this spirometer, which is why it's my visual anchor, but each day he was challenged to push that ball just a little bit higher. And of course, he's competitive too, so therefore I had to play the game, but anyway. Yes, he's like 77, he beat me. But the point being, our lung capacity is not fixed, just as our capacity to learn and grow is not fixed, nor is it predetermined by our zip code, our skin color, or our early academic experience. Carol Dweck is a psychologist from Stanford, and she's done a great deal of work in this area on success and achievement and developed that simple concept of mindset. It's powerful. If you have a growth mindset, then you believe that your intelligence and your skills, they can be developed through hard work and dedication. And the flip side is also true if you have a fixed mindset. So do we truly believe that all students can learn? Or are they just words that are painted on the walls in some of our schools? If we are to act in accordance, we need to meet students where they are, set high expectations, and provide ongoing, customized support. Now, one way of doing so, we've talked about this morning, is through technology. And forgive me, I'm an old social studies teacher. So a little history. 4th century BC, if you were one of the chosen few who were going to learn, you learned at the foot of a master from their every word. Jump ahead, 15th century AD, and Gutenberg comes along. Printing press. Now books are available. It's interesting that there was actually great resistance to the use of books as a teaching tool. It was inconceivable that one might be able to actually learn from a book. Now in the 21st century, we're faced with similar objections and resistance to technology. Education hasn't quite figured out how to capitalize on technology to increase its productivity. You saw the graph earlier. Spending per pupil continues to rise, but we're not getting a corresponding increase in results. Technology can be one way to overcome geographic constraints and provide and open up a whole world of possibilities for students. If you're interested, Google School of One to see how it can be done. Talk about differentiating learning. So technology not only will capitalize or stretch the almighty dollar and help us to spend a little bit more wisely, but also to stretch students' capacity to learn. To bring learning to life and bring life to learning, schooling should also provide opportunities for creativity, which you'll hear about a lot today, and open up some space for innovation. I was blessed this May to have earned my MBA at Rice and participate in their education entrepreneurship program. Wow, great opportunity to cross-pollinate between industries, and we were exposed to incredible, brilliant minds in education, like Rick Hess, who challenged us to think beyond what can't be done, to think about what we want to accomplish, and then just to look and see if our schools are configured in a way to do so. And if they're not, what should we do? In my second year with the MBA, we actually got to customize our learning and take some classes of our own choosing. And I read The 7-Day Weekend, love the title. And the CEO and president had me at hello as he fancied himself the chief enzyme officer. And throughout the book, they talked about ways that he empowered the employees and gave them the freedom to bring their skills to the table and devise ways to operate. And the company was wildly successful because he encouraged them to ask why, to question. That's not necessarily rewarded in education. My little CEO in my life, this is our youngest baby. He is definitely a catalyst. I taught him, we all play in the kitchen together, and I, just like my mother taught me, that baking is not necessarily forgiving. You have to measure very accurately, and you need to have the leavening agent just right. If we're missing something in education, it's that leavening agent. It's what my friend Kathy Berger-Kay in Service Learning talks about as the bounce. You know what I'm talking about when kids, they're so excited when they're little, they literally bounce. Yet somehow along the way we teach them that they have to sit still and listen to learn. I want to wrap up with just one last story as it frames the way I think, and I think it applies here. Several years ago, I decided to try and stay home, be an at-home mom. I learned very quickly that role was not well aligned with my skill set. For the sake of my children, I did return to the workforce after 1 year. But in that time, I got a little nugget from Dr. Phil. I think I spent the first 5 years of my marriage thinking about what my husband needed to do differently or to change to make our marriage better. And Dr. Phil thought the question that's more important to ask is, what do I need to do today to be a better wife? What do I need to do today to be a better mother? So I think we need to stop wasting our energy looking out the window and asking or complaining about what others are doing or not doing. Teacher quality, student motivation, funding, the list goes on. And start looking in the mirror and thinking about what I can do today to better serve the children in my life. What can we do today in our schools and our systems to better serve our students? Concerning ourselves about who is delivering educational services and where the ideas are coming from is fruitless. Whether it's the charter networks, traditional public schools, home schools, private schools, we are all in this for the public good. Interestingly, even CPR now is offered by a multitude of organizations, and you can get your card online. Education is like no other industry in the world. Our product is more precious than gold. It's puzzling to say the least, but we are all stakeholders, and we need to bring our unique pieces to the table. We need to take collective ownership for education in our great nation to bring learning to life and bring life to learning. What will you do today? Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.